Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lunatic Plays. I'm the Lunatic who plays games, World of Warcraft, but I'm not playing it. And with me is Raven. Hi Raven.
Hello, it's me. Hello.
We are
Hello.
back. Hi Ima, hello. We are back to discuss some more lore from the World of Warcraft. So I've prepared a bunch of stuff. So we have finished the base strategy games. Oh yeah, I have a new background. Sorry, I've completely forgot about it. I have a new background, Christmas themed. I got myself a small little tree and I wrapped the tree and the stool upon which it stands in Christmas lights, because why not? Yeah, hope you like it. And yeah, so we did the Warcraft strategy games lore. I will come up with a comprehensive chronological order timeline lore videos with the book like deep dive as well, because I'm reading the books while listening to them on audiobooks, and ChatGPT is helping me to like put my thoughts together. So that's coming. Don't ask me when. It'll come out when it's ready. But yeah, we are starting out with Classic WoW today. So we have a whole bunch of stuff because in Classic WoW itself there was not that many cinematics per se. Like Warcraft 3 was really good for this. But in the Classic World of Warcraft we have the trailer. Then we have a Wowhead collaboration video that explains the story and the background of Classic WoW. And then we have a couple of individual zones videos. So I'm thinking that we can check out maybe like all the starting zones and their background for where you would have been starting with either of the starting race in Classic WoW. What do you think, Raven? Is that
Sounds
good?
Sounds really good, yeah.
Yeah?
I would have just, like, if you don't have that prepared, I would have just made a summary of what happened at the side before the big things happened, but I think this is even better.
I think it's good. Like, I want to take my time, and every live stream we do one expansion at a time. Like easy peasy.
Okay.
Anyways, it's such a vast lore. There's so much to it. I will compile everything when I'm doing like the long form video series, because I'm gonna release them in this kind of like video essay format. So they're coming out. It's just like I'm really trying to take my time, because I want to present it well, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything, and I'm coming up with visuals, like a graphic timeline of events, and the conspiracy board, like who's connected to what as well. So like it takes time, and that's why like ChatGPT is great, because like I'm listening normally to the books when I'm driving Nev to work, which is every day basically. Like I spend an hour or two a day in traffic, so I'm listening to these books constantly. They're normally like 8 hours worth of audiobook per book. And they actually provide so much context. That's why like I haven't really been converting our live streams into full-blown videos yet, because I was like, you know what, I want to start with the books. Like I'm gonna start with Prophet Velen escaping Argos, going to Draenor, The Rise of the Horde by Christy Golden. I think that's where I'm gonna start. Then we're gonna cover the first and the second war of the orcs. Well, the first and second war, orcs versus humans. We're gonna cover like stuff like Medivh, the Dark Portal. We're gonna cover all the characters. I will be referencing books in each one of those videos, and I will just like one by one adding them to the timeline. That's why like ChatGPT is great, because I'm actually like, okay, list me out in bullet points what happened, just so I have like the continuity of events. So like I'll have a list, and then I'll be creating like the visual graphic of the timeline, which ChatGPT offers to do it, but it doesn't do a very good job at this. So I do a better job making that graphic. But I'm really putting attention to it, because I really want to start doing deep dive videos and video essays from the new year on topic unrelated to gaming. You might have seen me like starting to expand into like reaction content and discussing politics and philosophy and stuff like that. And I'm just warming up with this, trying to get into the headspace of researching and creating this kind of stuff and writing essays. And then AI is great for like reviewing my grammar or helping me collate my thoughts, because having ADHD, like I have a very chaotic mind, and my thoughts often are like so jumbled up, you know, like old school headphones, you know, the ones with the wires, not headpods, headphones, when you put them in your pocket and you pull them out and it's a jumbled mess. That's what my head feels like. So ChatGPT is really great. I discovered AI and I'm loving it. My God, I've entered the 21st century. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking now. I want to pull up the map of World of Warcraft. I know that we have been like marking the events of everything that has happened on a map, so that's the one thing I haven't found. So let me just see what conspiracy board. Okay. Okay, I have the map of Azeroth here. I'm gonna pull it up on screen so we can review everything that has happened so far, because I know that we missed last week. So let me pull it up. Azeroth map. You don't see it. God damn it. No, it's just a black screen, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember how we did it last time we were streaming?
No, not really. Maybe you just pulled up the browser source.
I can open it in Canva. It's true. 1 second. If you hear construction sounds,
Yep.
sorry, I have a plumbing problem at my house, so it's being fixed at the moment. That's why I was a bit late today. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the map now. Oh, no. No. Oh. Oh. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yep. All right. So, we started out with the events of Warcraft 1. Let's get a nice kind of purple color here. The Dark Portal, somewhere here, yeah?
Yep.
The Dark Portal, orcs started coming into Azeroth, caused quite a pickle with the humans of Stormwind and King Lane that presided here. They fought many battles in this general area. Notably, there was also Blackrock Mountain mentioned somewhere here. Humans thought that the leader of the orcs was what was his name? The Blackrock orc leader?
Blackhand.
Blackhand.
Or Doomhammer.
I don't.
Do you mean the first warchief of the Horde?
I mean the one who was in the Blackrock Mountain.
There was Blackhand.
Oh, thank you for the subscribe. Who was it?
Blackhand.
Blackhand. Morgan? No. Morgan
What?
Blackhand. No. Why do I know this name? Okay, anyways. Orc named Blackhand was in the Blackrock Mountain. He was a bit cray-cray, so the rest of the orcs didn't really like him that much. They didn't mind him getting the post. And while the humans were busy fighting that, fighting him, I just completely, I want to say dehumanize him, but he's not human. While the humans were fighting Blackhand, the orcs sneaked in and, kurwa! Why is it moving? And sacked Stormwind. And the humans sacked Blackrock Mountain. So this is what happened in the first game. In the second game, there was a lot more migration northwards. At a certain stage, the orcs had a dealing with the trolls. What are they? Not Arati. The Amani trolls. Sorry, I'm so bad with names.
It's fine.
I'm like my grandfather who couldn't remember my best friend's name for like the first 25 years of my life. So the orcs went here, had some dealings with Amani trolls. I'm just gonna put a little and this is his teeth. This is the troll. The trolls were having fights with elves, the elves of Keltalas. I wanna mark them with a nice like yellow for their sunwell. The elves of Keltalas that preside here. It's like I'm gonna put a little sun icon because they take all their power from their sunwell. So they don't like each other, and the orcs were trying to help the trolls for a little bit to help them fight, but they kind of reached an impasse, so then they just left. And the orcs went somewhere, wait, they went here, no? Arati, they sacked the castle of the Arati Highlands, right? It was here?
Of Alterak,
Here?
a bit more left, yeah, there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they went here, and they sacked the castle of the Arati Kingdom.
Alterak.
Alterak?
Yeah.
Okay. They sacked the Alterak Kingdom. And then on the human side, there was a special envoy sent by an order called the Sons of Lothar, with a mage named Khadgar, a famous elven ranger, Illyria Windrunner, and a paladin, Turalion, who went through the dark portal here and closed it from within. They pushed the orcs out. So they managed to close the portal. That was Warcraft 2. Then in Warcraft 3, we were 20 years later. Some orcs that remained in very small numbers were still battling the humans here and there. A lot of them were enslaved. Some of them were living wild. And we basically open with the scenes of the fights between the humans and the orcs that are still left, and the mysterious figure that we later on figure out is a famous wizard named Medivh, whose tower, incidentally, is down here in Karazhan. Here, yeah? Like, more or less.
Bit more left of the dark portal, up left. Bit down. Yep, down.
Okay, so this bozo from the tower over here, he comes back into the play. He keeps trying to tell everyone to leave the kingdom, danger is coming, everyone should go, and they should go west to Kalimdor. A young, impressionable orc who grew up in basically enslavement, like a labor camp capture, named troll, who also has mystical shamanic powers, has listened to this stranger and has sailed westwards to the lands of Kalimdor to seek better opportunities. On the way, they came across an island somewhere here, where they met trolls again, the Darkspear trolls. Oh. Here's a troll. And the trolls were in a little bit of a pickle. They were initially exiled from the land of Stranglethorn Vale, and their clan kind of broke apart. A part of them got exiled. They went to this island here in the middle of the sea. The orcs met them. They were dealing with some sea people named the Morlocks and a sea naga witch, who was threatening to sink the whole island. In the end, the orcs banded with the trolls. They became friends. They took them on their boats and they sailed away to the land of Kalimdor. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Lordaeron here, young Prince Arthas was investigating a mysterious plague that has erupted in his lands around these parts. He discovered that the plague is the doing of a dreadlord who poisoned the food supplies for an entire city, and his first kind of sinking into madness appears when Arthas sacks the city of Sholomans? Am I getting this right?
Stratholm.
Huh?
Stratholm.
Stratholm, which is here. So he sacks that town, and then even though he was swearing that he was not going to escape, not going to leave his people, he basically ups and fucks off to frozen lands of Northrend. In the meantime, the orcs encounter bovine creatures in the land of Kalimdor, and they become friends. So the orcs, the trolls, the torrents, as they are known, become friends over here. So great friendship is happening over in what we now know as Durotar. And they are being carefully watched and coming into certain conflicts over deforestation issues with local population from the north, of Night Elves. Their capital is here, Darnassus, and they have some fights over the trees. Boo boo. They know like it. What happened after? Arthas got a sword, a magical sword in the lands of Northrend that traps the souls of people that he kills with. So then he goes back home, and the first thing that he does, he murders his father like instantly. So this is Daddy is no more, kingdom is no more. He ends up poisoning all of his people. Is it right away, or is it later that he poisons all of his people and he resurrects them as undead?
He does it now, like after he killed his king, he
Yeah.
goes over his entire kingdom, plagues his people, turns them into undead.
Yeah, so he does that.
Cool.
And then with his new army of the undead that used to be his people, that are now resurrected as abominations, as undead, without free will, because he enslaved their free will to himself with his necromantic Lich King fucking powers, he takes his new army and he goes to the kingdom of Keltalas to kill the elves. He commits a genocide, kills 90% of the elves, because he wants to take the power of the Sunwell, that is the source of all the power and life energy of all the elves, and he wants to resurrect a guy he killed before he turned completely evil. So he resurrects this powerful mage named Kel'Thuzad. With the power of the Sunwell, he kills 90% of the elves and leaves all the remaining elves completely starving for power. What happened next? I know that there was there was stuff with Arthas's girlfriend goes to Kalimdor. I don't remember how she went there. I think as well
when
Medivh talked to her and she was
Yeah,
like,
Medivh talked to Arthas and to Jaina, but Arthas didn't listen, but Jaina did. So
Yeah.
she took the remaining forces of Lordaeron and took them westward to Kalimdor, and there she followed also the other lines of Medivh, looking for the Oracle in the Stone Talon Mountains.
Yeah, so there was a big thing that both the orcs and Jaina were looking for an oracle somewhere here, no?
Bit south of this.
Here?
Under the A. Under the A.
Okay, they were looking for an oracle somewhere here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the elves are watching them. The orcs have some conflicts with them. Jaina was Arthas's girlfriend, but she decided to call quits after he slaughtered an entire city. She upped and left, took her army. She's in Kalimdor now. They end up meeting the Oracle. The Oracle is, surprise, surprise, the mysterious wizard Medivh, who tells them that they have to work together because a great danger is coming. Then we move on to the whole plot line with the Night Elves. So, Night Elves, we have a priestess turned warrior, Tyrande, who kind of leads the people in the stead while her husband is sleeping for the past 10,000 years, guarding a druidic realm of the Emerald Dream, where the soul of Azeroth is sleeping. Tyrande wakes him up because a great danger is coming. Demons start attacking. So the demons, I put like little horns. Demons
we should say why they are attacking, because with the power of Kel'Thuzad, Arthas and Kel'Thuzad, they summoned Archimonde, the Defiler, powerful Irida Lord, in the ruins of Dalaran, and they start their war on Azeroth. And they killed almost everyone in Lordaeron.
This is Archimonde. Wait.
And they moved to Kalimdor to kill the tree. To get to that well under the tree, because there's a well.
So
power.
Here is a massive tree. This tree grows on top of another great magical font of power of the elves that is also a remnant of the Well of Eternity that sundered the entire world long time ago. So this bozo over here, he wants that power because the other power was taken to resurrect the powerful mage Kel'Thuzad that he then summons the devil. And then the devil goes to the big tree because he wants that power. Tyrande and Malfurion, and Tyrande ends up going on a side quest. She resurrects the brother of Malfurion. She frees the brother of Malfurion from his prison, who, against the will of Malfurion, also he has a crush on Tyrande, but she's just like, well, may as well free him, so she does that. And he immediately opts and leaves. I think he didn't even stay to hang out. I think he just opted and left and he went to Northrend, no?
No.
What happened?
He met Arthas after he was freed, and Arthas told him about the Skull of Gul'dan, a magical powerful artifact that he took, and with the power of the Skull of Gul'dan, he killed Tychondrius, a big general of the Burning Legion, who was...
This is Malfurion. Right.
Why does he look like a devil?
And this is his wings.
Why does he have wings?
This is Malfurion. Look.
What? Why?
He has the eye cover. So this is Malfurion.
You mean this is Illidan?
Oh, yes. This is my Illidan. Sorry. I can't remember anybody's name. be like bozo number 1, bozo number 2, bozo number 3.
Oh god. Yes, Illidan.
So this is
Malfurion
Illidan.
Storage, the traitor.
Illidan has a meeting with the Lich King.
No, with Arthas.
Oh yeah, with Arthas. The little Prince Tulo. I actually don't remember that part. What happened?
Arthas was just also there because he was helping the Burning Legion.
Yeah.
And he told him about the Skull of Gul'dan and Tichondrius.
Okay.
Because he and his Lich King, who were creations of the Burning Legion, didn't want the Burning Legion to win because they had other plans.
Okay.
So he told Illidan about this artifact and about Tichondrius, so that he can kill them and deal huge damage to the forces of the Burning Legion. And he did that.
Where did he go though? Did he go straight to Northrend or did he go to Broken Isles?
When he killed,
because I remember Broken Isles came up.
Yeah, even he was killed and he was trying to flee through the woods and was met by another demon lord, Archimonde's brother, Kil'jaeden. And he offered him a place in the Legion. He has to kill the Lich King because the Lich King betrayed them, as you just said. And he goes to the city of Suramar and calls out the Naga to help him. But this is like a little bit.
This is Kil'jaeden. Okay. So he allies with the Nagas to try to aid Arthas in the internal conflict now between the Legion and Arthas, the kind of like interest clash between them. Meanwhile, the orcs under Thrall and with the trolls, with the Torrents, ally kind of uneasily with Jaina and the humans that she's taken to Terramore against this threat of the demons. So like everyone's kind of opposing the demons. There are a couple of conflicting interests. Increasingly though, the Night Elves as well get involved to fight the demons, to try to free the forest, to wake up their druids. I remember that there was stuff about this. They were waking up the druids, but it all kind of culminates with Archimonde destroying the world tree of Nordrassil, yeah? Yeah, of Nordrassil, but also gets defeated by the souls of the Night Elves. Meanwhile, he's destroying the tree. So at a great cost of destroying the tree, Archimonde also gets defeated. So Kil'jaeden's left, Illidan is left, and now can you just remind me what happened in Northrend, what happened on the Broken Isles, because that's a little bit hazy for me.
So Illidan got the task to kill the Lich King. So he went on to he summoned the Naga, he went on to the Broken Isles, to the Tomb of Sargeras to get the Eye of Sargeras. A powerful demonic artifact again, which he will use to cast a spell to rip the Northrend apart, kill the Lich King.
Okay, so Illidan wants to kill the Lich King now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's his task from Kil'jaeden.
Northrend is here, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wants to melt the ice. He's getting the skull of Gul'dan, yeah, to try to do that.
No, the Eye of Sargeras.
The Eye of Sargeras from the Broken Isles. And then what's the culmination? Because I'm completely blanking on that. What happened there?
Well, he tried to, he got the eye, tried it, but got interrupted by Maiev. He had to flee to the Eastern Kingdoms, where he in Dalaran tried to cast the spell, but then Maiev and Malfurion and Tyrande followed him there. Tyrande got followed by a lot of undead, so she went onto a bridge, cast a spell, fell into the river, and was gone. Maiev deceived Malfurion into believing that Tyrande was dead. They met Keltas on the way, the prince of the Blood Elves. And they together stopped Illidan from casting that spell. Malfurion accused Illidan of also recklessly bringing Tyrande in danger and killing her in the process.
Yeah.
But Keltas
and Maiev as
said,
well got a slap on the wrist.
Maiev said that she was dead, but Keltas told the truth that she might not be dead. She just fell into the river.
Yeah.
And they together look for Tyrande, free her from the attacks
And
of the
Keltas
undead.
ended up allying with Illidan.
Yeah, but this comes later. So they help Tyrande, they free her, they bring her back, and they made not peace, but I don't call it peace.
Truce. A truce.
A truce,
Yeah.
Right? Thank you. And Illidan fled to Outland because he is trying to evade his master's wrath because
he left the world. I'm deleting him as in he left the world. He's still alive, but he left the world. Okay, yeah. And Keltas, the prince of the Blood Elves, was traveling here through these lands when he encountered Tyrande and Malfurion because he was looking for a source of power for his people, at least the ones that survived Arthas's attack on the Sunwell. Okay, is that it? Are we now in Classic WoW?
No. There's still some. I will try to summarize it really quick. Keltas was part of the alliance with under the regimen of a very racist human.
Yeah.
And eventually broke the alliance with him and followed the Naga to Outland to help Illidan. And Illidan conquered the complete of Outland to escape, but his master found him and gave him a last chance to complete his task. Then we have Arthas, who went back to his kingdom, took it over, became king of this kingdom. Makes sense. He was the prince, is becoming king. The Dreadlords, they were there. They tried to plot against him, but failed. But since Illidan already hit Ice Crown, the power of the Lich King was weakened. So Sylvanas could free herself, plotted with the Dreadlords against Arthas, and the Lich King called Arthas back to Northrend, and Sylvanas took that chance and overtook the entire kingdom of Lordaeron with the help of one Dreadlord, and even killed that racist marshal.
It's true,
from the Alliance.
And now zombies rule Lordaeron.
Yeah, zombies without the influence of the Lich King, free zombies.
Yeah. Like their will is back, because I think that Illidan's spell, when he was casting it, weakened a little bit the Lich King's power. So some of the scourge zombies started regaining their free will. And that's how the ex-Elven Ranger Sylvanas Windrunner, who was the main Elven Ranger of Keltalas, she was the main general. She got enslaved to Arthas's will initially, but then because the powers were weakening, she was able to free herself, and then she helped other undead that also became free to kind of rally them together and help them along their new undead status. Okay.
One thing is missing still. The thing happened in Kalimdor after the war.
With the father of Jaina.
The Mok'Thal Rexa arrived in Kalimdor and helped Thrall and his sword to establish the settlements there. They were attacked by humans, which they believed were under Jaina. And after some investigation, they found out that Jaina's dad is back and tries to kill the remaining orcs there. Rexa gathers the horde, part of the hordes, and even brought the ogres into the horde, and fought off Jaina's dad and killed him in the process, and they made new peace with Jaina, and the Horde can live on, and Alexa became the champion of the Horde.
Yeah.
Like, this is fast summary of this.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are in the events of Classic WoW.
Yes.
Perfect. So we can get into it. Hope you like this 40-minute long catch up. Let's start with the trailer that started the World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I have the timeline here, so we can like I can like navigate us through which videos we should watch now.
Okay, I think it's better to start with the trailer, like.
Yeah, sure. With the
because it's
trailer,
just
but
3
I
minutes.
already yeah, but then I saw like the patch 1.5, and between that happened some stuff. So we have to,
Okay. Well, honestly, I wasn't gonna play these because these are horrible quality. They're not cinematics.
Okay.
Like I wasn't gonna. I checked them out earlier and.
But
they
the
are
patch
really
1.11, we have to watch this one.
This one?
Yeah, the Shadow of Necropolis.
Okay.
But later.
Okay, but how about we watch the pre-trailer first, then we go to the story of what happened in the lore, the Wowhead lore thingy, and then we can go through like each of the starting zones for each of the races, and then we can discuss what happened in the patches.
Okay.
Because this way, like, we can have the progression of how the events. Transpired through Classic. So let's start with the cinematic that started it all. The cinematic for World of Warcraft from 2004.
Four years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the
That's the voice of Sylvanas.
Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
So this is the setup for the World of Warcraft. Everything that we have discussed up until this point is before the main MMO has even launched. So now we finally get into the actual game. After 4 live streams, we're finally starting the lore of the game.
But the other was also
Yeah.
the game, just not
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
game.
yeah. Like, because it was the previous games. And honestly, like, it started in 1994, no? Like, with the first game. So this was the cinematic trailer for the World of Warcraft before it launched. It's a massive multiplayer MMO, RPG, sorry, massive multiplayer role-playing game.
Online role-playing game.
Yeah. And yeah, now we're gonna cover like a brief overview of the story and of classic World of Warcraft and lore. I haven't seen this video, but I saw that it's like in collaboration with Wowhead, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
fair
and
enough.
it's made by Novel, the expert of World of Warcraft lore.
Perfect. Then I think without further ado, let's just see what it is. I think it's gonna be a good little overview, and then we can go into the individual like zones, review where the races are at the moment of the beginning of the game, and then we can cover the patches.
It was brought to you in collaboration with wowhead.com. Hello everyone.
4 years have passed
Ah.
since the mortal races banded
just watched
together
that.
and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion.
Skip it then.
Though
But is he gonna
Azeroth was saved,
Oh yeah, he's actually gonna
tenuous
watch the whole
pact
thing, right?
between the Horde
No.
and the Alliance
No.
has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder.
It's gonna
Once
be
again.
scenes from
That
the other
actually
Warcraft
is
games.
where it all began. The story of classic World of Warcraft. Now we're beta up and running. What better time than to sit down and talk about some of the major storylines that played out within the game. The 4 years that she's talking about. That is, when we saw the events of Warcraft 3 play out. And anyone that would like to prepare themselves for classic World of Warcraft, I'd highly recommend to have played Warcraft 3 at least once. The game
I
is a
love
little bit
his
old by now, but
accents.
it definitely
I love how he pronounces his R's. He's like Warcraft 3.
stood the test of time, and it's still amazing to play through. Now, in the RTS, we saw the Guardian Medivh give War Chief Thrall a vision. Bring your people to the ancient lands of Kalimdor. They're needed to help protect the world against the Burning Legion. Thrall's horde was different from the one infused with demon blood that stepped through the dark portal to conquer the world, was then defeated by the Alliance of Lordaeron at Blackrock Mountain, and those that surrendered, they were placed within internment camps. Some of the orcs managed to flee through the portal back home. Some took up residence in their base within Blackrock Mountain. Others had already left the horde behind. All much better fates than to stay within the internment camps. These were not exactly the best place in the world to find yourself in. There were guards pissing on you, they were mistreating the prisoners, the demon blood was still lingering in their veins. Some might say that death would have been a kind option compared to living in these camps. Thrall was still a
Yeah, basically Auschwitz for orcs.
baby when the original horde was defeated. With his parents murdered, the babe was left to die in the wilds, but that would not be his fate. A Dalus Blackmore saved him, a man who ran one of these internment camps, but he did not do so out of the kindness of his heart. He actually planned to use Thrall, to raise him as a slave gladiator, teach him to read, tactics, the way of war, and when the time was right, have him lead the other orcs in another war against the world. This one, with Adalus, leaned the charge against his own people. The son of Durotan and Draka learned the cruelty of man while growing up, but thankfully also the kindness and compassion that the humans possessed from people like Tarifa Foxton. She was his childhood friend, showed him kindness, even helped him escape at the cost of her own life. Thrall would leave the camps behind and meet up with pockets of orcs still living on the planet. Gromar's Hellscream with his Warsong clan, Drekvar and the remnants of the Frostwolf clan, the clan of his parents. Even Orkan and Doomhammer, war chief of the Horde when they were defeated but had escaped captivity from the Alliance. He was impressed and inspired by young Thrall. Together, they rose up to bring freedom to their people. While fighting, Doomhammer lost his life, and he decided to pass on his armor, his title of War Chief, and legendary Doomhammer to Thrall. That was the beginning of this brand new Horde.
For the Horde!
En route to Anse Medivh's call, for all stolen ships, they ended up in a sudden fierce storm, and they had no choice but to seek shelter on land. On the island, they met Senjin, leader of the Darkspear Trolls, who saw their coming in a vision. His people at the time are dealing with humans that are quite hostile to them, establishing outposts on the islands, but it would not be the humans to take Senjin's life. That was actually done by the Murlocs, worshipping a sea witch, a Naga, as we later find out. Senjin was sacrificed for her glory. His son Vol'jin would then take over leadership, and the Darkspear Trolls, they decided to come along with Thrall. They escaped from the sinking islands, and they joined the Horde. When all of this took place, Vol'jin was actually on a quest to become the Shadow Hunter that we know him as, together with his bestest buddy Selesane. He wasn't there when his father died, and while a big portion of the trolls followed Thrall on his journey, Vol'jin and some of his tribe, they weathered the Sea Witch's anger. They did so to gather all the supplies that they could, take it with them, and join their brethren around a year later in the new orc nation of Durotar. But the friendship between Vol'jin and Selesane was not meant to last. Selesane had gone mad with power and betrayed their tribe. With the use of dark voodoo, he robbed most of the Darkspear Trolls of their free will, forcing them to obey him. Vol'jin feared that all of his people would eventually fall to Selesane's sorcery, so he ordered the tribe to abandon the Echo Isles completely and move to the fishing village called Senjin on the coast of Durotar. Heroes are going to be sent out to strike at Selesane and his forces to win back the trolls' first home on Kalimdor.
Stay away from the voodoo.
Now, not all the trolls that you're going to encounter during Classic will be this friendly. The Sand Fury trolls in Zul'Farrak, they hold powerful treasures, and legends tell of a mighty creature that they worship, a teacher called Gazrilla. More powerful.
In the book that I'm reading now, I think it's called The Last Guardian. They are talking about, because it's written from the perspective of, well, it's following Khadgar. It's not from his perspective, but it's following him. And he's a mage from Dalaran, and basically they were talking about documenting species of trolls around Azeroth, and they knew about 4, but there was speculation that there's 5 different groups or clans of trolls across Azeroth.
And more deadly, that would be the Loa Hakar the Soulflayer. This is an ancient terrible being that the trolls are trying to summon within Zul'Gurub. This is not the first time that they tried this either. But back then, the green dragoness Ysera, she put a stop to their plans, sinking their temple of Atal Hakar. This time, it's going to be up to heroes of the world to stop the rise of the Blood God, to stop this threat before it can spread any further. We're even going to see some friendly Zandalari trolls that are going to show up to help out. Now back to Warcraft 3. After finally arriving in Kalimdor, Thrall had to spend some time tracking down the rest of his forces as the storm had separated them. While doing so, he ran into Cairn Bloodhoof, leader of the Bloodhoof Tauren, in the middle of their own war against their ancient enemy, the Centaur. These creatures are born from the union between Princess Feridras and Zeytar, the son of Cenarius. You actually run into this beautiful being as you adventure into Moradin. Now Thrall, he would not ignore the injustice that he was witnessing. His horde stood as a beacon of hope for races, just like the Tauren. The misunderstood, the oppressed and the forgotten, and his horde would fight to protect those in need. Together, they bring the pain to the Centaur. The defeat, it shocks the creatures and sends them limping out of the barrens in disgrace. Never again would they see the Tauren as easy prey, and the Tauren saw the promise of a new future. At last, they had broken this cycle of conflict. The Tauren's nomadic existence was over. While Cairn helped Thrall with reaching Medivh, some of his people, they ventured west into a grassy plain known as Mulgore. There it was, where they would finally settle and build a permanent home of Thunderbluff. Thrall and Cairn's adventures together would forge a near unbreakable bond, and so the Tauren also decided to join the Horde. That leaves only one more race that's going to join the Horde to be explained, the Forsaken. But to do that, we'll have to backtrack a little bit and explain how the Burning Legion was...
I love how he's reviewing everything that we've just covered from like the Warcraft strategy games, and is really like informing us where we are at 4 years later after the events of Warcraft 3, and where you as a player kind of started the game. So it's like, it's basically like reviewing what we've just discussed, but putting it into the context of where we are at the beginning of Warcraft Classic, like why the major clash between Alliance and the Horde exists, because like that's kind of where we start at, and there's like the races of the Horde, the races of the Alliance. So obviously, like the trolls joined the orcs first because they helped them with the whole like Senjin Naga Morlock situation. Then the Tauren also joined the horde because the orcs and the trolls helped them against the centaurs. And now we're getting to the undead situation.
Planning to come into the world. Like I mentioned before, the Alliance of Lordaeron had defeated the first Horde invasion.
That's
This was an
Khadgar.
alliance of the major human kingdoms, the High Elves of Quel'Thalas, dwarves and gnomes banded together for the sake of Azeroth. The Horde would then come back for a second invasion, to which some of the greatest heroes stepped through the Dark Portal to take the battle to the Horde. These heroes were forced to close the portal on the other side, would not be seen.
These statues here, they are supposed to be the statues of the Sons of Lothar, the group that we have discussed to have crossed through the Dark Portal at the end of the Second War and closed the portal from within. Apparently this is Illyria Windrunner. If you guys play World of Warcraft, this is her.
Left is
I don't know where the bird came from. Never seen her in the vicinity of a bird, but she has a bird here.
And Khadgar has no full long beard.
Yeah, and Khadgar is like fully 120 years old here. Meanwhile, like he comes back 10 years later in his 50s, you know?
Yeah, he has like no beard at all.
And he has no beard at all. He's like you know, Dumbledore in like Harry Potter, but in reverse. So it's like here he's like rocking the Dumbledore Harry Potter visage, but then he comes back 15 years later rocking the Dumbledore visage from the Fantastic Beasts series. You know?
The Alliance had lost quite a bit of firepower. Not to mention that at the times of peace, it had started to fracture the Alliance quite a bit from within. On top of that, the Legion also sent over one of its most powerful creations, the Lich King, to get that invasion started. With the aid of Kel'Thuzad and the Cult of the Damned, they worked and planned to spread a plague across the lands of Lordaeron that did not just murder its population, it also brought them back as undead. Within Scholomance, School of Necromancy, they expanded their power and influence, made ready to cleanse the world. These actions did not go unnoticed, of course. The king, he sent out his own son Arthas to investigate, accompanied by Miss Jaina Proudmoore of the Kirin Tor. They eventually found out what was going on. At Strefholm, Arthas made an impossible decision. He was going to purge it, stop the undead before they could spread any further. A decision that would have everlasting effects on the city.
Yeah.
A decision that Jaina couldn't believe. This was a road that she couldn't follow her beloved prince on. She left him, which placed them on completely different roads in life. Arthas would eventually make his way to Northrend, pick up Frostmourne and become an agent of the Lich King, while Jaina, she would be guided by Medivh, take the survivors of Lordaeron to Kalimdor to eventually stand with Thrall against the Legion. She did just that, while Arthas and the Scourge left a path of death and destruction in their wake, en route to Quel'Thalas. The elves did their very best to protect their lands. Many brave souls laid down their lives and were brought back to aid the army of undeath. Their ranger general, Sylvanas Windrunner, did everything she could to hold the line, to slow down this inevitable march, but ultimately, she too fell to Arthas and Frostmourne. The peaceful bliss of death was denied to her. She had been such a pain to fight that Arthas decided to bring her back as a banshee, now forced to obey his every command. Obey him as the high home of the High Elves fell, and their Sunwell was used to resurrect Kel'Thuzad as a lich. He in turn summoned Archimonde into the world, who set his eyes on the World Tree Nordersil and his ancient enemy, the Night Elves. They had fought back a Legion invasion before, over 10,000 years ago, something that Archimonde still clearly remembered. But for Arthas, he eventually lost a huge chunk of his power, given to him by the Lich King. Enough so for Sylvanas and others amongst his undead creations to regain control, rise up against the former master. These Forsaken, they rallied to Sylvanas' side. She did her best to claim revenge, but Kel'Thuzad, he remained ever loyal to Arthas and saved the prince's life, so that he could travel back to Northrend and eventually merge with the Lich King. His kingdom was left in the hands of his faithful Lich, but Sylvanas had other plans in mind. She wanted her revenge against Arthas, and first up was the dominance of the land left destroyed by the prince. But that was not that easy to do. The Dreadlords, demons of the Legion, they were meant to keep an eye on these undead operations. They were still hanging out in the land, and they were not just going to hand it over. Varimafras was the first to fall, begging for his life. Sylvanas was willing to give him a chance to fight at her side and prove his worth. With his aid, she focused on Deathrock, who had mind-controlled the local humans under the command of Garithos. Their minds were liberated, Deathrock fell, and Garifos' forces were added to hers. She promised him to give them the lands back if he helped her out, a promise that she never intended to fulfill. Belnazar, the last Dreadlord, was slain by Varimafras himself as a final test of his loyalty, while, with their mission complete, Garifos became a snack for her ghouls. Not a man
I'm
that would be
actually
quick
really curious about Sylvana's redemption arc because I know that they're planning for something like this.
Can I spoiler you a bit?
Sorry?
Can I spoiler you a bit?
Oh, sure. I like spoilers.
Because I did the quest line yesterday.
Okay. Is it good?
She's not coming back.
She's not coming back.
No, she was asked to come back by Arthur, but no.
She decided not to.
No.
Oh, why?
She chills no more and has her task to do.
Okay, so she's still gonna be in the Shadowlands.
Yep.
Okay, so she's not coming back. Okay, because I was wondering about her redemption arc because we see kind of like the inkling of how she was like this noble elven warrior defending her homeland, and Arthas really done her dirty, deprived her of her like honorable death, and then resurrected her as a banshee, completely enslaved to his will. And she really is hellbent on revenge. But at a certain stage, we end up defeating the Lich King. So, yeah, she had a little bit of a rough time over the years.
Now taking the lands and holding them, they are two different things. The Scarlet Crusade with the monastery, that's an organization hell-bent on eradicating the undead. They've also been infiltrated by dreadlords and became so zealous in their quest that they could no longer see the difference between the living and the undead. There's also Kel'Thuzad to consider, humans and other forces that are not too friendly towards what they see as the Scourge. They are in desperate need of the allies, and it's the Horde that lets them in.
Was this the first model of Sylvanas?
Yeah, they had no
A
high
night
elf
elf?
model.
What? She was a night elf?
Yeah, because they had no high elf model, and you know, she has to be an elf, and people believed in Classic that she was a night elf.
Oh my
Just because
God.
of that model.
Yeah.
He eventually finds Medivh, who tells the war chief as well as Jaina that they need to work together for the sake of the world. Quite a bizarre idea at the time, the Alliance and Horde working together, considering the past between the two, but they are very wise leaders and decide to put the past behind them. This leads to some amazing events, like Romar's Hellscream sacrifice.
Akane asked why people in Classic actually believe that. Yep, they did.
Yeah.
There were
Sacrificing
people
himself.
arguing with me over this.
To slay Nekroraven, liberating his people from the demonic curse. Their group also makes contact with Malfurion Stormrage and Tyrande Whisperwind. They're the leaders of the Night Elves and well aware of Archimonde being back on the planet. They team up with the plan of blowing up the World Tree Nordrassil and Archimonde with it. This would mean that the Night Elves are going to lose their immortality, but that's a small price to pay if it means the salvation of the world. Malfurion gathers the ancient spirits of the forest, while their forces hold off Archimonde for as long as they can. By working together, they're able to do the unthinkable. They actually defeat Archimonde. Medivh's plans have worked out just as he had hoped.
Oh,
His time on the
Riley. Hello.
world was over, but Jaina and Thrall, they decided to do their best to keep this peace going. She took the remaining survivors of Lordaeron, and they settled within Faramir. While Thrall, he also decided to stay in Kalimdor, in a land called Durotar, named after his
How are
father.
you, Riley?
The capital of Orgrimmar, named after Orgrim Doomhammer. That would be the Horde's bastion of power in the region. Now this had Thrall and Jaina trying to make the Alliance and Horde see that amazing things are possible when they're working together. Not everyone is able to let go of the past like that though. Forces from both within and without, they keep those drums of war going.
The drums of war, thunder, once again.
So what might the Alliance look like? Well, considering the events that took place in Lordaeron, the High Elves and the humans from that area, they're off the table.
Yeah.
Instead, we see their sister kingdom, Stormwind, adding their humans to the ranks. Quite a lot of people were surprised to hear that it's King Anduin ruling them, believing that people are mixing it up with the current lore. But even back then, it's young Anduin Wrynn that was the king of Stormwind. The story behind that has to do with Deathwing and his child Onyxia. Disguised as Lady Katrana Prestor, she has a
I know that Onyxia was one of the raids in Classic WoW.
black dragon claws deep into the House of Nobles. She was able to convince them not to pay the stonemasons what was promised after the work of rebuilding Stormwind, which led to riots in the streets, the death of Varian's wife Tiffin, and the rise of the Defiance Brotherhood. Led by Edwin Van Cleef, they took up
Yeah.
residence within the Dead Mines.
This is one of the like first dungeons that you would do in classic WoW as like
Yeah.
as a
The first
human.
as an alliance.
Yeah.
Planning their revenge. But they were also recruited by Katrana to kidnap
Yes.
Varian. Her goal was to gain control over the human kingdom, and she planned to split Varian into two. One was going to be the weak-willed Varian, which she could easily keep on the throne, easily manipulated. And then the strong-willed Varian, his stronger side, that would simply be killed off. Sadly for her, those plans didn't exactly work out. The strong-willed Varian, he was able to escape, but all of that actually happens off-screen, and you don't really see it play out in the game. Instead, we eventually figure out who Katrana really is. We expose her for all to see,
Was
and
she
send her running
Onyxia?
back to her lair, where heroes gathered to...
Katrana was Onyxia. I didn't know
Yes.
that. Oh my god, I didn't know that. Okay, so Varian was missing. They put Anduin on the throne as a kid, and Katrana was like manipulating him from behind. My god, Alliance is so incompetent. I hate it more and more. With everything I learn about it, I'm like, why do they still exist?
slay the dragon and bring her head back to Stormwind as proof of demise. Story-wise, she actually kidnapped Anduin and took him back to her lair, but was then slain by the two Varians and a group of heroes. In their confrontation, she was even kind enough to turn Varian back into one single being, but during Classic, it was actually Anduin ruling the city, with Katrana and Bolvar Fordragon at his side. The legendary paladin, appointed as Regent Lord to handle the day-to-day duties of administrating the kingdom until the child was a little bit older.
You hold a grim destiny in your hands, brother.
Oh, okay, that was
But it is
Bolvar.
not
Okay.
your own. Bolvar.
I don't know
Yep,
why.
it's that Bolvar. Joining them.
Oh,
I said I don't know why they put that cinematic in, but it's fine.
it's okay.
Are the Night Elves, which might seem a little bit odd, considering that they did team up with the Horde against the Legion. But at the same time, the Horde also killed the demigod Cenarius, who is Malfurion's teacher in the druidic ways. And they also chopped down a fair bit of their sacred forest for lumber. The lands of Durotar and the Barrens, they're not exactly rich with resources, which is a battle that we can see play out within Warsong Gulch. There's also the battleground Rafi Basin and Altrak Valley, both of them showing the Alliance and Horde clashing with each other.
My heart sleeps in the Emerald Dream.
After blowing up Nordrassil, the Night Elves now live on a brand new world tree called Teldrassil. This one does not have the same blessings as Nordrassil did, so the Night Elves, they still have to deal with no longer being immortal. The tree was actually planted by Vandal Stackhelm against Malfurion's wishes. The Archdruid believed that nature would never bless such a selfish act. And he was right. But even more dangerous is the part where Fendrel, he's been corrupted, is being manipulated by the old gods. Ages ago, Fendrel lost his son in the War of the Shifting Sands, which was a massive battle to contain the threat of the old god Cthulhu. Through many sacrifices, they were eventually able to set up the Scarab Wall and keep Cthulhu contained. But now the image of his dead son is manipulating Stackhelm. Cthulhu and his forces are still a massive threat to the world though. So much so that the Alliance and Horde, they're going to pool their swords together and do the impossible. Stack up on nature resistance gear, venture into Anchorage, and they're going to defeat Cthulhu.
Stack up on nature resistance gear. Oh. Nice. Look at you living the high life, Riley.
The old gods, these dark and powerful entities, they're locked beneath the surface of the world, desperately wanted to break out of their prisons. Teldrassil has been corrupted through the effects of the Emerald Nightmare. But this is not the only old god influence that we're going to see throughout Classic. Nearby, in Black Fathom Deeps, the Naga are protecting and making sacrifices to Akumai, which is a creature that holds a sliver of the old god's power, but is still incredibly dangerous. There will be world bosses, known as the Dragons of Nightmare, green dragons taken by the dream's corruption, that will occasionally wreak havoc on the mortal world. The ogres in Diremal, they also feel the nightmares of...
Is she Isera's mom or daughter?
No. That are just keeper of the dreams, like big dream dragons that are very strong.
Okay.
effects and the dangers of the Wailing Caverns. They're caused by a druid stuck within the nightmare. All in all, you might want to pay close attention to the quest that you do for Stackhelm, as he does not believe that Tyrande is the right ruler.
I have vision that she lacks.
Then, the gnomes of Gnomeregan, they remain loyal to the Alliance.
I mean,
Their
history
brilliance
kind
has
of
sprung
proven
so
it right, but she really has gotten the short end of the stick.
remarkable inventions and also established the deep run tram, fast transport between Stormwind and Idaforge. Sadly, they don't really have a capital to offer, since in the war against the Trogs, their appointed leader, Galba Mekatorg, he made some horrible decisions. He listened to Sicko Firmaplug, a gnome he'd been friends with for a very long time. Sicko had the idea of using gas to wipe out the Trogs. The gas should have stayed in the quarantined areas and the lower sections of Gnomeregan, poisoning the invaders as they emerged from the depths, while the gnomes, they waited safely sealed away within the upper urban tunnels. At the time, this had seemed like the only way out of their unforeseen invasion. Firmaplug had seemed so confident that this stuff would do the trick. Sadly though, most of the Trogs had just shambled through the gas, if anything, growing wilder as they became irradiated. Even worse, the gas...
Yeah, right. I'm hearing some good things coming out of Kenya lately. Apparently, you guys are really advancing economically and growing really fast. So, good on ya. Really happy for you.
Gas had risen through Gnomeregan, killing the gnomes who had sat waiting in their homes, choking on vile green clouds behind doors that their High Tinker had promised to keep them safe. 80% of their population, they died that day. Even Sicko was surprised. His calculations, it had estimated around 30% of a population. That's how far he was willing to go to make Galbin look bad. Sicko escaped his punishment and now rules over Gnomeregan, driven mad by the radiation. Meanwhile, the dwarves of Idaforge, they were kind enough to give the gnomes a place in the city, but the gnomes, they could see the pity in their eyes.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. For a race of ambitious folks whose lives were validated by a masterful command of the scientific laws of the universe, to be pitied was simply unbearable. To be pitied was to be insulted. Galbin knew, for the sake of his people, they would have to retake their former city, retake the beloved Gnomeregan, and retake the gnomish pride.
Yeah, Gnomeregan was both a raid and a dungeon, right?
No, just a dungeon.
It was a dungeon. Okay. Did it ever become a raid?
No.
No, okay. It was a dungeon.
I think in the not anniversary. Oh, what was the mode we were playing?
Huh?
Classic. Season of Discovery, right? It was a raid there. Yeah, thank you. I can't...
But we've already done that dungeon like all the way back in Classic, but they never got their kingdom back. Like they never rebuilt Gnomeregan.
Yep.
Do we know why?
Because it's inhabitable.
Because it's still like with the.
You know why they don't rebuild the city of Chernobyl, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
There.
It's
Welcome to
irradiated.
Tinkertown. Any news from Gnomeregan?
Speaking of the dwarves, they're the final option of races amongst the Alliance. Once upon a time, all the three dwarven clans, Dark Irons, Wildhammer and Bronzebeard, they lived together within Idaforge under the rule of Modemus and Volmar. Their king died and a civil war broke out, one that was won by the Bronzebeard clan, which meant that the Dark Iron and the Wildhammer, they had to go. The Wildhammers eventually settled in Grimbatal, doing pretty good for themselves and letting things be, whereas the Dark Irons, they built a city in Red Ridge Mountains, or at least that was what was known like back in the day. They couldn't let it go though. They were still fuming at their defeat, and they gathered their forces to retaliate. Both the Wildhammer and the Bronzebeard were able to repel the attacks and combine their forces to stop the Dark Irons once and for all. Emperor Fauruzan, leader of the Dark Irons, he scrambled to find a way to defeat his enemies. He decided to draw on the fiery power from deep within the world and use it as a weapon. A great spell was woven, but while conjuring, his mind turned to the death of his wife and his recent defeats. Anger roiled through his heart, affecting the spell work. Unwittingly, he ripped Ragnaros the Fire Lord from his elemental plane of fire, summoning him to the surface of the world. The Fire Lord's violent rebirth sparked a series of apocalyptic explosions that instantly killed Fauruzan and shattered the surrounding mountains. The raging volcano, known as Black Rock Mountain, now towered over the ruined Dark Iron Kingdom. The land was renamed to the Burning Steppes and the Syrian Gorge. Fauruzan's subjects that managed to survive
That's
the spell were
also where in the first war the Blackrock Orcs headquarters was at.
gone wrong. They were enslaved to Ragnaros. From his lair in the molten core, the Fire Lord gave his orders and had them carve out a new fortress under the mountain, which was called Shadowfort City. Within their fiery home, they would continue nursing the hatred of the Wildhammers and the Bronzebeards. Now the battle at Grimbatul, it had done so much damage that the Wildhammers, they decided to move on. They settled in the hinterlands, but the war against the Dark Irons, it had smoothed things over between them and the Bronzebeards. We would actually see the Wildhammers fight with the Alliance of Lordaeron against the Horde, but they're not available in Classic quite yet. All we get are the Bronzebeard clan, who were led by Magni Bronzebeards. They were very keen on figuring out their heritage, where they came from, how they were created.
Would the Wildhammer ever become available to play?
Technically, yes. But not as a sub-race or something like that. Or
So it's just like more customization option for the most basic dwarf, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
While the Dark Iron became an own race.
Yeah, I know. I know that. That's why I was wondering. Because later on we also got another type of dwarf that was kind of like mysteriously popped up in the War Within. Yeah.
It's part of their quest for knowledge that will take us into Uldaman, an ancient titan vault. The king of Idaforge also needs the aid of heroes to go and rescue his daughter Moira. She's been captured by the Dark Irons and taken to their city. Much to the surprise of the Alliance infiltrators, Moira was actually furious at their actions, this so-called rescue mission. Over time, she had fallen in love with the leader of the Dark Irons, as, unlike her father, he actually showed her respect, kindness, did not think less of her simply because she was born as a woman, pregnant with Vauduson's
I
child.
love it, guys. Dark Iron trolls. Dark Iron dwarves are feminists.
She decides to not return home. Instead, carry on his work, put aside her anger, and lead the Dark Irons. This strike
Love
on
it.
Shadowforge City, it had left her clan in absolute chaos. And for the moment, this was an advantage, an opportunity to get them out of enslavement. While Ragnaros' forces were distracted, she quietly let out word that the Dark Iron Dwarves were being forced to create a massive army for the Fire Lords. To draw as much attention as possible, Moira made sure that the rest of the world also knew that there were riches and artifacts to be found, untold power hidden deep within the mountain. She hoped that some adventurous or greedy heroes would band together to shatter Ragnaros' defenses and banish the Fire Lord back to the elemental plane. Her plan worked better than even she could have dreamed. The Hydraxian Waterlords, elemental beings of water who were natural enemies of the fire elementals, they also got wind of this. They offered aid and rewards to anyone foolish or brave enough to challenge Ragnaros. As the Molten Core defenders fell, the champions decked themselves out in their fire resistance gear. They used the gifts of the Waterlords to destroy Ragnaros' protective runes, leaving no barrier between them and the Fire Lords. Ragnaros' strength was legendary, but it was not enough to slaughter the invaders. In defeat, he
So
was
this was
banished back to his
another major raid of WoW Classic.
Mental
We
plane.
faced off against Ragnaros in there.
meaning that the Dark Irons were finally free. Their leader didn't stop there though. Ragnaros only held control over the lower half of the mountain. The upper half that belonged to Nefarian, Deathwing's son and brother to Onyxia. He'd been working very hard on accomplishing his father's goals of reinvigorating the Black
same?
Dragonflight.
No, Neltharion is the one that was in modern times, no? It's a different guy.
Neltharion is this Deathwing, the aspect, brother of Alexstrasza.
Okay, and this guy?
Is his son.
Whose son?
Deathwing's son.
Like the one who caused the cataclysm.
That was Deathwing.
Yeah. And then
And that is
and
that
the
is
one
Deathwing's son right now.
in Dragonflight that with the dark hair?
Which one? There are
The one
two.
with the dark hair.
Yeah, there are two.
Oh. Oh, so they're
You want-
brothers.
Yeah, they're all brothers, yeah.
Ah,
But
okay.
in Dragonflight we have Rathian and
Yeah,
Severian.
I'm talking about Rathian, okay. Yeah.
Rathian is, yeah, but he's a bit younger than the other ones.
Okay. But
He's
is he
around
the
20.
brother of this dude over here?
Yes.
Okay.
He was
Noted.
experimenting and combining the power of all 5 different flights to create a powerful new one known as the Chromatic Dragonflight. Nefarian had kept his presence shrouded, relying on unusual allies to protect his territory. Some of the orcs that survived the defeat at the hands of Lordaeron, they made base within the mountain. They were led by Dalrend Black Hand and saw themselves as the true horde, did not acknowledge Thrall as the war chief. With the promise of the Black Dragon's aid, a lie by Nefarian, they teamed up with the Black Dragons, enemies that Moira needed to take care of. Once again, she had her people send information to the far corners of Azeroth, telling the world that Dalrend's horde had allied with the Black Dragonflight. Her spies made sure that this knowledge found its way to Orgrimmar. As she suspected, it immediately caused an uproar amongst the leadership of the Hordes. Thrall had known about this true Horde for years, but he had never imagined that they posed any real threat. If Black Hand was foolish enough to trust the son of Deathwing, then there was little time to waste. Though he was a mighty warrior, the Horde's heroes
Okay,
he
so
faced
this
were mighty.
True Horde, they are the remaining followers of the Blackrock Orc clan.
Yes, and Dalrand, like the one that is now the war chief of them, is the son of the Black Hand that was killed in Warcraft 1.
Okay, yes, so his son took the remaining Blackrock Orcs, allied himself with the Black Wing dragons to try to rebuild the True Horde.
Yeah.
Here still, the self-proclaimed leader of the True Horde, he died in his stronghold. His followers then scattered, abandoning the Black Dragonflight. Nefarian turned his wrath on the Horde's intruders, but they did not flee. They cut their way through endless waves of Nefarian's twisted creations, until he too fell to their strength and persistence and beautiful Onyxia scale cloaks. A scale from his sister, imbued in the gear, protecting them from being engulfed by Shadow Flame. They defeated the Lord of the Blackrock Mountain. The Horde's champions took Nefarian's head as proof of their victory and returned to Orgrimmar as conquering heroes, which left Moira and the Dark Islands to wait for the perfect opportunity to return home and reclaim Ida Forge. But that, of course, is future talk. Now, the last raid to talk about, that should be a familiar one. It is the
Naxxramas.
floating citadel of Naxxramas. Hovering over the Plaguelands, Kel'Thuzad and the means of the Lich King, they await any hero foolish enough to challenge them. In the comics, it was actually
there was a
Darian
lot,
Mogren
no? The
that went
classic
into
WoW.
Naxxramas. In-game, it's heroes of the Alliance and the Horde. Decked out in frost resistance gear, the world showed Arthas that they had grown very, very strong. Even Kel'Thuzad was defeated, but not completely destroyed, as the greed of heroes would see his phylactery survive, and he would return with Naxxramas during Wrath of the Lich King. I really wonder how many are going to be able to conquer Naxxramas this time around, maybe even obtain the Corrupted Ashbringer. Time will tell, but this is the major background and story that you're going to find within Classic Warcraft. Now, of course, there are going to be many more smaller stories that play out, but talking about all of them would take us all day long. Instead, I'll post a list of quests that I would recommend to check out in the description down below. By all means, let me know your recommendations in the comments as well, and I'll add them to the list. There's also going to be a playlist with videos that I've done in the past, covering events and characters of Classic in much more detail. Per usual, there's also the Wowhead article to check out for more details on all the things that we talked about today. All of that in the description down below. So for now, I think we've been going...
Okay, cool. So here we are. I think let's go back to our map and let's review. How can I delete all of my scribbles? I can just start a new. Okay. Okay, so let's review. Obviously, Lordaeron is sacked. It's overtaken by the Ghoulie Boys, and the Ghoulie Boys live in its underground ruins called the Undercity. So the Ghoulie Boys.
The Ghoulie Boys.
Ghoulie Boys live here. The humans live here. It's basically the only human kingdom left, right? Well, Kultiras, but we don't know about them. And Gilneas, but we don't know about them yet. And then the Orky Boys are here.
The Orky Boys.
The Trolley Boys are here.
Why do we give them horns?
I give it's supposed to be ears.
Okay.
I'm just a terrible artist. And
That's fine.
and the elves as well. These are ears. And the elves are here. Bronzebeard dwarves.
can't see that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. Did you make that bigger?
I make him fat, yeah. And okay, I'm gonna make them. I'm gonna make the gnomes aquamarine. Okay, so we got it. Bronze beers. Wait, I'm gonna make them more bronze. Okay, the dwarves, the gnomes live here. The humans live here. The zombie boys live here. The trolls and the orcs are here. The elves are here. So the major things.
What
that
about the Tauren?
Oh shit, the Tauren, I forgot about them. What color should I give them?
Red or brown, because you don't have red or brown.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna make them red. Okay, so the Tauren boys are here.
I love the Tauren.
The Torrent boys are here. So now let's just cover all the shit that has happened. So basically, in the kingdom of the humans, all the people, all the workers that participated in the rebuilding of Stormwind. Remember when it got sacked in the first war, when the humans went to fight Black Hand in the Blackrock Mountain, and the orcs kind of bypassed all the humans and sacked the kingdom of Stormwind. So then the kingdom of Stormwind was being rebuilt, and all the workers that worked there weren't getting paid. So there was a rebellion group basically that started here and established themselves in the dead mines that we also went to in the first Warcraft game for something. They were led by a rebel called Edwin Van Cleave, and they were thought to have kidnapped the king of the humans, but in the end he didn't, because he wasn't there.
They have.
But he freed himself.
You mean Varian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they took the rebellious side. He talked about this. Onyxia split him into two personalities of him, like two
right.
people. And the weak-willed one, he kept in Stormwind as a puppet, and the strong-willed one, he made a deal. She made a deal with the Defias, and the Defias.
I was wondering what is it about the weak will and the strong will. How did she split him?
With magic.
Okay. Whenever you don't have an answer for something, most likely it's magic. It's magic. Okay, so this is what's happening with human boys. Then the elves are tackling the loss of their immortality. Their tree is dead. They live in a new tree, but this tree is not as magical and cool and awesome as the other tree, and they're kind of mortal now. Then the zombie boys have joined. From what I understand, the orcs and the trolls were kind of uneasy about letting them in, but the Tauren are the Taurens are like flower children. They are hippies, so they just accepted them because they're like, so what? They are rotting and falling apart and potentially don't have free will. We love them. They're alive, kind of, sort of. Where maybe still are. They're moving. That counts for something. So they joined the horde. I heard that the zombie boys under the lead of Sylvana sent 2 envoys looking for allies, one to the horde, one to the alliance, but the alliance envoy never came back. Presumably they died on the way. But the horde ended up welcoming them, trying to like understand their struggle and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Notably, in the zombie boys land, there's Naxxramas, no? Here, somewhere.
But more north, yeah.
Here?
More top left of this, on top of the mountain. Can you move it?
1 second.
Wait,
No,
you can
I
move it.
cannot. Because it has too many parts.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
so
fine.
somewhere here is Naxxramas,
Yes.
which is basically a floating, kind of like a spaceship full of undead shit. Kind of like a floating construct full of zombies that work for the Lich King, right? They're not.
Yes.
No, they're not the cool hippy dippy friendly ones that went to hang out with the flower children.
I don't like how you disrespect the Tauren.
Huh? Why
I don't like
disrespect
how
them?
you disrespect the Tauren.
They are flower children.
Flying dead
And
vultures.
why is it an insult? Hippies are cool.
You are cool.
I was a hippie. See? Booyah. There was also a problem with an old god Cthulhu, in the
Not
kingdom
right.
of here.
More left, yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Here, old god Cthulhu.
He became a son.
It's an eye, like.
It's fine. I see it.
So this bozo here wanted to be resurrected and take control of the world. Why, we don't know, but we stopped him.
He's an old god, an agent of the void.
Yeah, that's why I gave him the purple color. He's the agent of the void. He wanted to devour the world. Then the girl Katrana, who is manipulating the child king Anduin, turns out to be a powerful dragon Onyxia.
No. Put her somewhere else. This
But
is
I'm
not her
putting
there.
I'm putting the Blackrock Mountain
Okay.
here. So Blackrock Mountain is more or less here. Katrana, I'm gonna put her here. Wait, I'm gonna put her in black. Okay, a dragon.
Put her onto Eldea, where she was defeated.
Where?
You can make an arrow from the Kingdom of Stormwind
Uh-huh.
to bit top right of the old god triangle.
Here?
A bit more top, right up. Stop. Yeah, they're around there.
Okay, so now this is
The Dragon Lady. What is this?
it's a dragon.
It's a dragon.
It's a dragon and look. Slash. A dragon slash lady from Stormwind went here and died.
Yeah.
The flying fortresses were we made peace with it. Then the trolls in the the dark spear trolls from the jungle, not the same ones that are here in Durotan.
But Gurubashi is their name.
Gurubashi trolls, yeah, Gurubashi trolls. So these bozos here.
Yeah, but they are.
They are summoning a thingy in a temple of Atal Hakar somewhere here.
In Zul'Gurub, the Talaka was way before.
And Zul'Gurub is somewhere here, no?
Yeah, you had it. You have it. Like, it's good there, yeah.
They're summoning ancient magical shit that should never see the light of day. So we go and stop them. And then the PvP happens where?
over the L of the E of Lordaeron.
Oh, okay, so here we have
Yeah.
PvP.
Then
This is the Arati Highlands, yeah?
no, this is Alterac.
Alterac.
Below the N of Lordaeron is Arati.
Here?
Yeah.
Here, PvP.
And over the M of Kalimdor is the Warsong Gulch, where the orcs fight the night elves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are the stories of the PvP clashes? So this is where the Alliance and the Horde clash each another and fight.
Yeah, well, Warsong, I explained it. It's the Horde,
Yeah.
the orcs and the night elves, because they want to have
Because of the trees, yeah.
they want to have lumber. And the Arati, like under the end of Lordaeron, is the undead forces versus the human forces of Arator.
So zombie
left
boys and
against-
humans who don't like each another because humans have brains and zombie wants to eat them. Okay.
Yeah, and the other one above the E of Lordaeron, the Alterac Valley, is the Frostwolf clan, the orcs, versus the Stormpike Dwarven clan.
So dwarves and orcs. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think orcs like to
so-
fight.
Dwarves and
Orky boy.
and orcs. Okay. All right. So this is what's happening in Warcraft 1. Have we missed anything?
Yeah, we have you took the Blackrock mountain,
Uh-huh.
and there's like 3 things happening. There are the
Okay.
Dark Iron Wars.
Mm-hmm. Dark
Yeah.
Iron Dwarves, so the Dark Iron Dwarves are here. Like, as in, like, they're in the mountain, but I'm just giving
Yeah,
myself
they're in the
space.
mountain.
They're in the mountain.
They are serving the Fire Lord Ragnarus. That's good. I love it. It's so amazing. And atop of the mountain is the brother of Onyxia Nefarian, another dragon.
So all of them live in an explosive mix in an explosive mountain. A real piece of real estate that you don't want to find yourself in.
Yeah. Let me see if we missed it. Oh yeah, we could also address the Scarlet Crusade, which is basically racist organization left of
They're basically the Vatican.
the Vatican. Yeah. First, they were only against heretics and heathens, and now they're against everything that is not holy.
So Jesus lives here and hates everyone. Okay. Basically, they are a human light worshipping order of priests and paladins who are sworn to eradicate all of undead because they view them as the abomination. And as you see, the undead live just here in the in the ruins of the kingdom of Lordaeron. So that makes for a very poor choice of neighborhood.
Okay, so can I through a few things that are important, like mention some things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first to Teldrassil, the tree up left.
Mm-hmm.
There's another druidic leader, since Malfurion is sleeping again, called Fandral Stackhelm. You don't have to write it in. It's just a little bit of information. He is corrupted by the old gods, and he is a bit of mental because his son died against the old god in the south. He will become important later, so we should remember the name Stackhelm. Canonically, a group of paladins of the Argent Dawn invaded the Flying Death Fortress of Naxxramas. Among them is Darion Morgraine, a young paladin, son of another Morgraine, which name I've forgotten. But they have the powerful sword, the Ashbringer. And the son finds in the in the necropolis, his father turned into an undead person with this powerful sword. No, Reynold is follower of Jesus. Alexandros is his father name. Alexandros is the Death Knight inside the necropolis. Darion kills his father and takes up the sword. And his brother, the Jesus follower, is left in the Red Cross. Yeah. Yeah, this is good.
Okay, so this
Because
is
these
what
are important
happened.
later.
What happened in Classic? Should we get an overview of the zones?
Yeah, let's go to the overview of the zones.
Okay. Then, what's the first one? Durotar?
Let's go with Durotar.
Durotar.
And
The history of Durotar
I think, wait.
isn't just about
we can just let it go. Oh my god, this is 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
This is a bit.
I know. Like,
Let's go with Durotar and Elven Forest.
okay.
a barren wasteland with a capital city dropped in the middle. It's a story carved in blood and fire. If you've ever quested through this zone in World of Warcraft, you probably remember the dry red cliffs, a few scattered trees, and of course the Horde capital city of Orgrimmar towering at its heart. But coming from someone who has sworn allegiance to the Alliance, that's all Durotar is.
I feel so bad. My entire life I played as an Alliance. I was sworn to the Alliance, and I feel so bad. Alliance sucks balls.
To us, at least. A region that
Honestly,
is simply the home of the
fuck the
Horde's
Alliance.
capital, and nothing more. But that
Good night,
Bye, Riley. Come this weekend. We'll be streaming.
couldn't be further from the truth, and I couldn't be more wrong. This land is where the Horde clawed
Cool.
its way back from exile, where betrayal and war tested their strength, and where honor became more than just a word. So in this video, we're diving into the history of Durotar, the hidden past of this harsh land, the battles that scarred it, and how it became the true heart of the Horde. Now, you could trace Durotar's history all the way back to another world entirely, to Draenor, to the Orcs' origins and their first steps onto Azeroth. But for this video, I think it's best to start at the point most players will recognise, the founding of the zone itself. We'll quickly
I don't know exactly what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow might be the Polish stream, but if it's not, then yeah. Because I started playing Cyberpunk again, but I'm doing it in Polish this time.
go over what happened before the creation of Durotar. But if you want the full details of how the Orcs escaped from Draenor and settled on Azeroth, you can check out our dedicated video in the description below. In the year that we now denote as Year Zero, the Orcish Horde stormed through the Dark Portal and landed in the Eastern Kingdoms. Over the next few years, they fought relentless wars with the humans, sacking Stormwind, pushing through Khazmodan, and trying to conquer Lordaeron. But the might of the Alliance proved too strong. After 6 long years of war across the Eastern Kingdoms, the Orcs were driven back to the Dark Portal. Many fled back through it, and then were later chased down by the Sons of Lothar, another story we've recently covered. But some of the Orcs remained on Azeroth. A few disappeared into the wilds and went into hiding, but most of them were captured and imprisoned in the Alliance internment camps. In one of the biggest of those camps, a camp known as Durnhold, located in the southern reaches of Lordaeron, a young Orc orphan named Thrall was being raised as the personal slave of the camp's commander, Aedelus Blackmore. For the next 10 years, Thrall was trained to be a weapon for the humans, drilled in tactics, philosophy, combat, and forced to become a gladiator. 18 years after the Orcs arrived on Azeroth, Thrall finally escaped his internment camp. Believing that there was more for him beyond the camp walls, his journey eventually led him to the Frostwolf clan in the north, where he learned the truth of his heritage and claimed his place as their rightful leader. From there, Thrall began freeing the remaining Orcs still imprisoned across Azeroth. But while he was rallying his people, dark omens began to spread across Lordaeron. A strange plague was creeping through villages, and a mysterious prophet appeared to Thrall in visions. This prophet, known to Thrall as the Oracle, warned of a great darkness on the horizon and urged him to lead his people west to Kalimdor, with the only other option being one of staying in the Eastern Kingdoms, running from the Alliance for the rest of time. Thrall answered this strange call. he gathered what remained of the orcs, seized a fleet of human ships, and set sail into the unknown in search of this oracle. But the journey to Kalimdor didn't come without its challenges. Just off the coast of the mainland, Thrall and his orcs were shipwrecked on the Darkspear Islands, where they encountered
I
the
feel like
Darkspear
we are
trolls.
repeating the
After
lore
fighting
steps.
alongside them against attacking alliance
But I think it's
forces,
good
both
because
groups
it's
were
like
captured
it's such a complicated story. I think like to have like a review of the thing that led to the future events is good to kind of repeat it a couple of times, just so that it kind of gets ingrained in our memory, because it's so rich in lore and events that it's so easy for us to just like forget about things. Like I forgot half of the end of Warcraft 3. Like I just didn't remember it. Like the whole thing with Illidan just fell out of my mind, you know.
The Murlocs, serving the Sea Witch, Zarjira. Thrall and his orcs eventually managed to escape, but the chieftain of the Darkspear trolls, Sen Jin, was mortally wounded in the battle. With his dying breath, he asked Thrall to protect his people. Honouring this wish, the Darkspear swore loyalty to the orcs and joined Thrall on his path to Kalimdor. When they finally made it to the mainland of Kalimdor, they were met by
map is
Ken
really good
Bloodhoof
that
and
he's
his
using.
Tauren. Thrall's forces helped Ken push back the Centaur, a race of half-human, half-horse beasts who were attacking Tauren settlements. And in return, Ken and the Tauren promised to guide the orcs toward what they were looking for, the Oracle. But not all of the orc clans followed this path so peacefully. The Warsong clan, under the command of Gromash Hellscream, were sent into Ashenvale to harvest lumber as punishment for attacking humans without Thrall's order. There, they clashed with the native Night Elves, and as the battles dragged on, a pit lord known as Manaroth from the invading Burning Legion saw an opportunity. He offered the Warsong his blood in exchange for loyalty, and those who accepted fell under demonic control. Eventually, the orcs would find the Prophet, and at the urging of this mysterious oracle, who was now revealed to be Medivh, Thrall allied with one of the human leaders, Jaina Proudmoore, to put an end to this madness. Together, they captured Hellscream and freed him from Manaroth's corruption. Thrall then joined him in a final confrontation with the Pit Lord. It certainly wasn't easy, but Grom struck the killing blow on the demon. His sacrifice destroyed Manaroth and freed the orcs from their demonic curse forever. Meanwhile, across Kalimdor, the Third War raged on. The Burning Legion continued to press on with its assault on Azeroth until its commander, Archimonde, was defeated at the Battle of Mount Hyjal. With his death, the Legion's invasion was broken, and the war finally came to an end. After Archimonde's defeat at Mount Hyjal, Azeroth's races were left fractured, reeling from the devastation of the Third War. But for the Orcs, the end of that war marked something far more important, a chance to start again. Thrall led his people south, looking for a home. They settled in the harsh, sun-scorched lands along Kalimdor's eastern coast. But this land wasn't empty. It was occupied by the native Razormane Quillboar, vicious, boar-like creatures with jagged spines and known for their ferocious tempers. But the Quillboar weren't new enemies to the Orcs. They knew them well. They had fought the Quillboar alongside the Tauren on their earlier journey to seek out the Oracle during the Third War. Thrall's warriors clashed with the Razormane once again, driving them back into the canyons and the cliffs. As the Quillboar were absent across the plains and the deserts, the Orcs seized their chance to move in. Orcish camps grew into small villages, and a foothold was carved out of the unforgiving red earth. To Thrall, this was more than just survival. This was a new beginning. To honour the father he never truly knew, he named the land after him. Where they had settled became Durotar, in memory
of Thrall's father is Durotan.
Of Durotan. And with that name came a transformation. The Horde was no longer a demonic war machine. It was becoming something new. Orcs, Tauren, and Trolls all stood together under Thrall's new banner. In the north of this new region of Durotar, they began building more than just huts and palisades. They started to build a warrior city, a fortress to stand as the heart of their new horde, carved from stone and fire, raised with the help of goblin engineers, Tauren builders, Darkspear hunters, and even the Mok'Nathal champion Rexxar. Their city rose quickly. In tribute to the fallen warchief that had led the Horde through its early days on Azeroth, Thrall named their new city Orgrimmar, a fitting tribute to Orgrim Doomhammer. Now, we could wrap this story up here with a fairy tale style ending. The Horde had a new city, a harsh but promising land to call their own, and a growing nation with countless newcomers eager to join. But of course, stories in Azeroth are never that simple. What could possibly go wrong with a new beginning like this?
Well, a lot.
Guess
This is the
Lions
proud
were on their
Admiralty.
way. After Lordaeron had been devastated by Arthas and his Scourge, a massive part of the Alliance fleet abandoned the continent and set sail into the unknown, hoping to find survivors. What they didn't realise was that the Alliance forces that had escaped and travelled to Kalimdor a few years earlier had certainly survived. Led by Jaina Proudmoore, the Alliance forces who remained on Kalimdor after the Third War had settled in the Dustwallow Marsh. On its eastern coast, they built a stronghold, the port city of Theramore. Just down the coast from Durotar and the newly built warrior city of Orgrimmar, Theramore's position made the fragile truce between the Horde and the Alliance essential if both sides hoped for a future on Kalimdor. But that fragile peace was about to shatter. The Alliance fleet were on their way, and leading the charge was Jaina's father, Grand Admiral Daelin Proudmoore. A celebrated hero of the Second War, Daelin was one of the Horde's fiercest enemies on the seas, and he was scarred by what the Horde had done to the Eastern Kingdoms. To him, the Horde would always be monsters, and his arrival would threaten the entire balance of Kalimdor. When Daelin's fleet reached Kalimdor's shores, Jaina met him in Theramore, where she was accompanied by Rexxar. She pleaded with her father, telling him that the Horde were no longer their enemies. But Daelin refused to listen. He could not accept that the Horde had changed. Instead, he ordered their capture, and fighting soon broke out on the streets of Theramore. Rexxar managed to escape and fled back to Durotar, carrying word of the Alliance threat to Vol'jin and Thrall. With the peace between the two factions now shattered, Thrall wasted no time. They would meet this threat head-on and marched towards Theramore Isle. Yet before the attack began, Thrall confronted Jaina herself, giving her a difficult and final choice. Stand with her father and reignite the war between the two factions, or stand with the Horde and preserve the peace on Kalimdor. And as the story goes, Jaina chose the peace. The Horde would storm Theramore Isle, orcs, trolls and Tauren all fighting side by side, and together they brought down the Grand Admiral Daelin Proudmoore. After the death of Admiral Proudmoore,
It was a bit complicated for Jaina. She got kind of exiled from her kingdom because she participated in the death of her own father, and her people kind of disowned her after that.
And the Horde withdrew peacefully, returning to Durotar to continue building their nation. But as we know, peace never lasts for long in Azeroth, and soon another threat would rise to challenge the Horde's new home. Most Horde members who've travelled through Durotar will recognise Thunder Ridge. Not long after Durotar was founded, Rexxar and his companions were sent to Thunder Ridge to collect Shimmerweed, but when they arrived, something was clearly wrong. The thunder lizards that lived there were acting strangely, being aggressive and almost deranged. It didn't take long to uncover the cause. Humans had set up a lumber operation nearby, tearing through the forest and driving the lizards into madness. With no other choice, the orcs were forced to put the creatures down to prevent further chaos. But the source of this problem wasn't actually the human logging camp. It was coming from somewhere else entirely. The rest of the trees hadn't been cut down. They were burned and corrupted by demonic magic. The source of this wasn't the humans, but a group of orcs themselves. The Burning Blade clan, once feared across the Eastern Kingdoms and known to the humans as the Flaming Sword, they were renowned for their deadly blade masters and fought in the First and Second Wars as part of the Old Horde. But when the Horde fell and Thrall rose to power, many Burning Blade warriors broke free from demonic influence and then pledged themselves to the new Horde. But not all of them walked this peaceful path. A faction of the corrupted Burning Blade remained loyal to the Burning Legion. Sometime after the Third War, a lesser demon named Zmodlor, a master of deception and infiltration, remained on Azeroth and began rebuilding this cult in secret. He preyed on hatred, recruiting orcs and humans alike, convincing each side that he could help them wipe out each other. Zmodlor's plot nearly succeeded. Aegwyn, the former guardian of Tirisfal, and Lady Jaina Proudmoore confronted him and his followers at Dreadmist Peak in the
Aegwyn,
Barrens.
the mother of Medivh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, she's alive.
Not really.
Okay.
The two
Like Medivh,
managed
she's just the spirit that
to
lingers.
banish Smodlor and end his twisted plan before it could ignite another bloodbath. In the 25th year, many young orcs and trolls began their journey through Azeroth, and it all started in the Valley of Trials. It was here that they were faced with their first
We are
real
in
tests,
WoW
confronting
Classic now.
threats spreading across Durotar. These trials served to aid the Horde, but also to prove they were ready to face the challenges of Azeroth and whatever lay beyond it. They were ordered to cull the local boar population, slay venomous scorpids, and eliminate prowling fellstalkers, lesser demons that had recently begun emerging from caves in the cliffs to the north. Those caves, once a quiet network of natural tunnels, had become corrupted by the presence of the Burning Blade. Though the demons there were weak, their growing numbers were beginning to spill into the valley, raising concerns that the Shadow Council was gaining influence in the region. The Shadow Council being a group of mortal warlocks that still serve the Burning Legion. Among the wildlife here, a particularly troublesome scorpid named Sarkoth had earned a reputation for attacking careless initiates, and more orcs and trolls were sent to deal with it. Despite the dangers, the valley also remained a place of labour, with orcish peons gathering lumber from the few trees scattered across the harsh landscape. By the 25th year, records show that Orgrimmar, the Horde's capital, housed around 14,000 inhabitants. And across all of Durotar, the population reached approximately 21,000. With over 85% of Durotar's population made up of orcs and trolls, the numbers tell a clear story. A story of the deep bond between the two races.
Humans
and
as
that
well?
bond only grew
There are humans that inhabit Orgrimmar?
Not Orgrimmar, but Durotar.
Okay. Ah, yeah, in the south, yeah.
stronger following a painful betrayal by Hexmaster Zalazane, a powerful witch doctor of the Darkspear tribe and once the chieftain, Vol'jin's closest friend. Corrupted by dark voodoo and haunted by visions from the lower, Zalazane turned on his own people. As the Darkspear settled on the Echo Isles during their exodus to Kalimdor, Zalazane's mind broke under the weight of his own power. He used twisted magic to strip his kin of their free will, enslaving them to his own command. As his control over the Isles spread, the number of free Darkspear trolls began to vanish. Fearing the complete loss of his people, Vol'jin made a difficult choice. He ordered the Darkspear tribe to abandon their new home. Seeking safety, the Darkspear fled to the coast of Durotar. There, the orcs welcomed them in as brothers-in-arms, of course, granting them land of their own to build their fishing
I love
village
the
of
alliance
Senjin,
between the orcs and the trolls. It's such a cool story.
giving the trolls a fresh start again. The Darkspear trolls, alongside their Horde allies, launched frequent attacks against Zalazane's stronghold on the Echo Isles. Many brave trolls and Horde champions had journeyed to the Echo Isles to try and defeat him, and more than a few returned claiming victory, even presenting what they believed was Zalazane's severed head. But it was an illusion. Days later, this head would be revealed as nothing more than painted rocks, a bundle of coconuts, or worse, the head of an unfortunate Darkspear slave. Zalazane was still alive, ruling over the Echo Isles, but the trolls and the orcs of Durotar would need to prioritize their forces elsewhere. Zalazane wasn't the only one trying to unravel the fragile peace of Durotar during this time. The next threat to the Horde's new way of life didn't come from across the sea, or even from the outside of their borders. It came from within Orgrimmar itself, or more specifically, from beneath it. The city had been built over a fiery network of tunnels the Horde named Ragefire Chasm. At first, these lava-filled caverns seemed harmless, far below the streets of the capital. But that changed when the enemies of the Horde began using them as a refuge. A group of trogs had burrowed their way into the chasm, slowly gathering strength and preparing to strike from below. And worse still, a splinter sect of the Shadow Council made their home there as well. This group, known as the Searing Blade, was the sister faction to the infamous Burning Blade. Backed by the Shadow Council, they were determined to undermine Thrall's new Horde and bring it down from within. The Searing Blade was led by three dark figures: Taragaman the Hungerer, a Felguard who was left on Kalimdor after the Third War; Jurgosh the Invoker, a powerful orc warlock who had pledged himself to the Shadow Council; and Basilan, a satyr consumed by corruption. From the Ragefire Chasm, they plotted the downfall
any familiarity with Xavius?
No, it's just a satyr.
of everything the Horde had built. But Thrall was not blind to the threat. He left its destruction to the rising adventurers of Azeroth. When the champions of the Horde were strong enough, they descended into the chasm, struck down the Trogs and the Searing Blade, and they returned to the streets of Orgrimmar, victorious. For the time being, the threat within the Ragefire Chasm was over. The history of World of Warcraft really accelerates between the 25th and the 27th year, as both the Horde and the Alliance face two monumental events, the invasion of Outland and the war against the Lich King.
Should we pause here?
When the war in the north finally...
Because
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't covered these events yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think... Wait, can you go through the chapters, please?
Changed lands, this is Cataclysm.
Yeah, okay, this is all Cataclysm. Then we can stop here. Yeah,
Then Tides of War.
yeah we can stop here.
Yeah,
This is all-
Siege, and yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is where we are at the moment. So Classic also involved the Ragefire Chasm, which was a dungeon underneath Orgrimmar, the capital city of the Horde.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do Elven Forest?
Yes.
Desolate, Plaguelands, Lochmodan, Silverpine, Westfall.
It's a bit more up, should it? No, I don't know, wait. There's Mulgo, Wesson, Tomorrow, Tirisfall, Glades, Duskwood, Redridge, Strangle. It should be more up then.
Strangletorn. It's well, maybe I don't think so. There's a lot of them, so it's Elven Forest.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's 90 minutes.
Welcome once more to the hallowed halls
And
of our
probably
Grand Library.
we're gonna
Today, our tale takes us
cut it
into the
quick
depths of
because
history, where we
we're
shall
gonna
cover
just
the
cover it
secrets
up until
of
Classic.
the Elwyn Forest. The Elwyn Forest, a vast woodland that sits below the foothills of the Burning Steppes. It neighbours the calm Red Ridge Mountains in the east, lies north of Westfall, and is separated from Duskwood by the Nazvariti River. It is the very heart of the human kingdom of Stormwind, featuring a blend of winding
Nazvariti
rivers,
River.
lakes, dense forests with tall trees, and lush glades. The region benefits from frequent rains, nurturing its fertile farmlands. While humans inhabit the Elwyn Forest, it's also home to murlocs in some of the lakes, and various creatures like kobolds, gnolls, bears, wolves, spiders, and boars, all contributing to its rich wildlife. The story of the Elwyn Forest remains shrouded in mystery before the establishment of Stormwind ages ago by the Arathi bloodline of Stromgarde. Therefore, a brief yet concise overview of Stormwind's establishment serves as an ideal starting point for this narrative. For ages, the early human tribes thrived in the Eastern Kingdoms, engaging in continuous conflicts over territory and dominance. Situated on the northeastern borders between the human lands and the Amani Empire, the Arathi tribe engaged in prolonged battles with these forest trolls. The endurance of Arathor lasted for more than 1,000 years, and it gradually fragmented into the Seven Kingdoms. Around 1,200 years before the events of the Dark Portal, the noble families of Strom aimed to depart the Arathi Highlands to settle in the more fertile northern regions of Lordaeron. Despite Thoradin's heirs arguing against abandoning Strom, the nobles still departed. The remaining Arathi descendants also left Arathor, journeying southward to establish the kingdom of Stormwind. After traversing the rugged mountains of Khazmodan, their arduous journey culminated as they settled in the northern reaches of the continent, confusingly christened Azeroth. In a verdant valley, they established the realm of Stormwind, swiftly emerging as a
Yeah,
self-sustaining...
this is something that keeps coming up in the books. They keep calling the Stormwind Kingdom Azeroth, which is like the name of the planet, but also the name of this kingdom at this time.
power. Initially, the Kingdom of Stormwind stood as the smallest and most secluded human nation, but it gradually thrived through the cultivation of numerous farmsteads in the fertile surroundings. As Stormwind's populace expanded, small towns sprouted around Elwyn Forest, the Red Ridge Mountains, Brightwood and Westfall, with the latter being renowned as the kingdom's breadbasket. Across several centuries, devout clerics from the Church of the Holy Light ventured south from Lordaeron, spreading their faith upon reaching Stormwind and establishing the Holy Order of the Northshire Clerics. The kingdom found steadfast support from the Knights of the Brotherhood of the Horse. A more fitting name they went by were the Knights of Azeroth. These knights swore allegiance to the kingdom of Stormwind and protected it with unmatched valor. Before delving deeper into Stormwind's history, we will wrap up the tales on this city. While a comprehensive narrative about Stormwind City awaits in a separate tale, for now, let's return to the heart of this story in the Forest of Elwyn. We will occasionally revisit Stormwind when its relevance emerges within this narrative. As previously mentioned, owing to their prosperity in the region, the humans of Stormwind began exploring the forests of Elwyn and establishing smaller settlements on the outskirts of the main city. Apart from Stormwind City, one of the earliest settlements in the Elwyn Forest region is nestled within the Northshire Valley. Devout clerics from the Church of the Holy Light arrived in Stormwind and were allocated the Northshire Valley to construct their abbey and establish their residence. These clerics became integral to the kingdom, offering wisdom and solace during challenging periods. Utilizing the powers of the light, they provided comfort to the citizens of Stormwind and aided their kingdom's army in numerous battles. One of the other earliest settlements outside the city walls was one that would go on to become one of the most well-known and talked about towns in all of the world. Goldshire. Goldshire's roads connect it to Stormwind City in the northwest, Northshire Abbey in the northeast, Westfall in the west, and Lakeshire in the east. Its placement establishes it as a crucial trade centre. Travellers, merchants, adventurers, Stormwind guards, and abbey priests frequently pass through, often relishing the hospitality of the esteemed alehouse Lion's Pride Inn during their travels to and from Stormwind. The humans continued expanding and thriving within the Elwyn Forest for numerous years following the establishment of Stormwind City, up until approximately 75 years before the events of the Dark Portal. It was at this time when the residents of the Elwyn Forest traded in their pitchforks and their hoes for swords and axes, and dedicated all their resources to safeguarding their tranquil land against a formidable and ruthless adversary, the Gnolls. During the expansion of the kingdom's borders, the humans encountered packs of Gnolls in the region. These creatures, known for their vicious raids on human towns and convoys, posed a constant threat. However, the deployment of heavily armed groups comprising of soldiers and knights helped maintain some control over the situation, ensuring that Stormwind's territories and frontier regions were guarded. Despite efforts to contain the Gnoll threat, the reign of King Baratheon Ryn witnessed a drastic escalation in attacks. The Gnoll assaults reached such severity that even the fortified capital of Stormwind faced direct attacks. This dire situation was orchestrated by Packlord Garfang, a cunning and intelligent leader among the Gnolls. Garfang united various Gnoll packs, demonstrating remarkable strategic
And when does Hogger come into it? Because he's
skills and amassing an organized army, facing the imminent Gnoll threat and abandoned
I
by
wonder if the
neighboring
Gnolls
humans.
are ever going to become a playable race. Like,
No.
okay.
Kingdoms, King Baratheon devised a bold plan.
I
He
feel like
led
they
a small
should.
contingent of elite knights in a daring strike against Garfang's weakened defences in the Red Ridge Mountains. This daring move resulted in the successful elimination of the Packlord. The demise of Garfang sent shockwaves through the Gnoll population, triggering internal strife and power struggles. The infighting severely crippled the Gnoll's ability to mount large-scale assaults on the kingdom. With the Gnoll forces significantly weakened, King Baratheon rallied Stormwind's armies and launched an offensive against the remaining Gnoll groups in Red Ridge. His strategic moves and decisive actions culminated in the defeat and near annihilation of the Gnolls in the region. This monumental victory reinforced Stormwind's belief in its self-reliance and capability to handle threats independently. However, this confidence would soon be tested, as the tragic consequences of their over-optimism would become apparent in the future. Following their triumph over the Gnolls, the denizens of Stormwind and the Elwyn Forest returned to their daily routines, turning the soil, nurturing their families, and sustaining themselves from the bountiful forests. However, the cycle of history on Azeroth often repeats itself, and conflict once again befell the lands of the Elwyn Forest. Roughly 5 decades later, with the tales of the Gnoll Wars being passed down to the succeeding generation, it was overshadowed by a new threat to the Kingdom of Stormwind,
The Gurubashi,
Gurubashi Trolls. Around 18 years prior to the First War, the Gurubashi War erupted, involving a massive troll army laying siege to Stormwind City. The conflict had evolved from a series of smaller disputes between the factions, primarily over territories bordering Stranglethorn Vale, where settlers from Stormwind encroached upon. Despite attempts by King Baratheon Ryn to contain the situation, tensions heightened, eventually culminating in Prince Lane Ryn leading an
The
expedition.
Gurubashi Trolls originally were part of the Darkspear Trolls, and the Darkspear Trolls became exiled, right? They were like...
I think it was like the other way around. The Gurubashi were the big thing, and the Darkspear was a small tribe of them.
But they like coexisted together in the same area.
Yeah.
So
they
they're
were
very
part of
like
it, yeah.
similar in a way. It's
Yeah.
just like the Dark Spirits got exiled and that's how like they fucked off to the islands.
The
became
jungle
adults.
trolls.
Yeah.
To strike at the heart of the Gurubashi leadership in central Stranglethorn. This action united the trolls against Stormwind, nearly bringing it to ruin in retaliation for the assassination of their former warlord. However, the kingdom eventually emerged triumphant, largely owing to the
Medivh.
intervention of the Guardian Medivh. Following the dispersal of the troll army at Stormwind City's gates, the southern jungle trolls never really posed a significant threat to the kingdom again. The war's end brought almost 2 decades of relative peace to Stormwind, a period that would eventually be interrupted by the outbreak of the First War against the Orcish Horde. The people of Azeroth were unaware of the grand scheme being orchestrated by the powerful human mage, Medivh. Seeking to destroy the kingdom of Stormwind and cause widespread chaos across the lands, Medivh collaborated with an otherworldly being.
I'm
named
actually reading
Gul'dan.
the book about it just now. I think Last Guardian is about it. I mean, in the Last Guardian, the orcs are already there, so...
Together, they utilized their arcane prowess to create a rift, the infamous Dark Portal, linking their 2 worlds. Through this portal emerged the savage Orcish Horde, catching the inhabitants of Azeroth by surprise and instilling terror into their hearts. The detailed account of the First War spans across numerous battles and strategic moves. However, our focus will be on its impact specifically within the confines of the Elwyn Forest. A massive horde force besieged Stormwind, encircling the capital city. Fierce battles erupted at the city's defences, engulfing the surroundings in chaos. Yet, a surprise counterattack led by Anduin Lothar and the valiant Knights of Stormwind caught the orcs off guard, compelling them to retreat temporarily. Nevertheless, the conflict escalated, leading to the destruction of Goldshire and Moonbrook, key settlements within the Kingdom of Stormwind. These 2 losses significantly weakened the kingdom. Orgrim Doomhammer, a mighty orcish leader, directed his forces to besiege Stormwind Keep. The city's defences were tested to their limits, and eventually fell after the treacherous assassination of the now king, Blaine Wrynn, orchestrated by Garona. With the Kingdom of Stormwind's collapse imminent, Anduin Lothar, realising the dire situation, gathered the remaining forces and civilians for a desperate retreat. They sought refuge in the northern kingdom of Lordaeron, beseeching King Menethil II for aid against the relentless Orcish onslaught. Following Stormwind's fall, the Orcish Horde established dominance over portions of the Elwyn Forest, marking a bleak chapter in the kingdom's history. Continuing to the next chapter, we approach the events of the Second War. Our focus in this chapter won't delve into the intricate details of the conflict, as the Elwyn Forest's involvement held minimal significance within this narrative. We'll highlight only the relevant aspects. Following the fall of Stormwind, the newly appointed Horde war chief, Orgrim Doomhammer, embarked on a mission to conquer the remaining territories of Azeroth. Recognizing the imminent threat, a gathering of leaders from various human nations took place in Lordaeron, culminating in the establishment of the Alliance of Lordaeron. During the Second War, the Alliance armies forced the Horde back to the Thandalspan bridges, liberating Khazmodan in their pursuit. Engaging Doomhammer's forces in the Burning Steppes, the Alliance achieved a decisive victory, albeit at the cost of losing Anduin Lothar in battle. The war concluded after the climatic battle at the Dark Portal, leading to its destruction. Despite Lothar's absence, the Alliance reclaimed Stormwind's ruins, subsequently regaining control over Elwyn. The reconstruction of the city amassed
So that's the
substantial
Second
costs,
War that
straining
we've covered.
Stormwind's economy and inciting
3 times.
dissatisfaction among its populace. This culminated in the formation of the Defias Brotherhood, composed mostly of discontented middle and lower class individuals, including the unpaid Stonemasons Guild, who had rebuilt Stormwind. Archbishop Alonsus Fale played a pivotal role in the reconstruction of Northshire Abbey. Additionally, he contributed to the establishment of a fresh clerical order, composed of clerics, priests and paladins, known as the Brotherhood of Northshire, serving as a recruitment centre for the Stormwind army. Nevertheless, against all odds, the Elwyn Forest managed to regain much of its former splendour. Over the next nearly 2 decades, time quietly advanced within the Elwyn Forests. It was during these decades the Scourge wreaked havoc in the northern territories of Lordaeron, and conflicts unfolded on the continent of Kalimdor. But this forest, situated in the southern region, was relatively isolated and maintained an environment of growth and prosperity amidst the ongoing wars elsewhere. By the year 25, a mere 4 years following the Burning Legion's defeat in Kalimdor, the rebuilt capital city of Stormwind and its surrounding lands were flourishing once more. The Elwyn Forest witnessed a surge of fresh adventurers, exploring the terrain, seeking new residences, forging new connections, and earnestly pledging their service to the Kingdom of Stormwind in various capacities. The kingdom and the denizens of the Elwyn Forest warmly embraced this wave of new adventurers.
Yeah, in World of Warcraft Classic, you begin as a human in the Northshire Abbey, and then you gradually transition over to Goldshire, you do some stuff in Stormwind, and you slowly cover all of Elwyn.
Frequently offering food, gold, enhanced armor, knowledge, and a spot by the fire at the Lion's Pride Inn, all in exchange for the adventurers' aid. It can be said that the inhabitants of the Elwyn Forest truly capitalized on these newcomers. They dispatched them into the forest to handle minor threats that marginally disrupted the otherwise tranquil life within the woodland. Adventurers initially made their way to Northshire Abbey, aiding Marshal McBride and the Brotherhood in reducing the wolf population, dealing with the threat from the Defiance Brotherhood, and addressing the kobold issue in the mines. Many esteemed paladins, mages, priests, rogues, warlocks, and warriors walked the halls of the Northshire Abbey and righteously contributed to the Brotherhood's quest for peace. Upon restoring that peace in the Northshire Valley, many adventurers proceeded to Goldshire, a nearby town adjacent to Stormwind's gates. There they encountered locals like William Pessel, Marshal Duggan, and the infamous figure Remy Two Times. These inhabitants offered further training, wealth, and a safe stay at the Lion's Pride Inn in exchange for dealing with various threats throughout the forest. They succeeded in diminishing the kobold, bear, wolf, boar, and even the dreaded murloc populations. A notable triumph from within the Elwyn Forests at this time was subduing the resurgent Gnoll pack dominating the southwestern Elwyn Forest. The Gnolls, acting as agents for the Defiance Brotherhood, the adventurers confronted Hogger, a Gnoll troubling the region known as Hogger.
The Gnolls allied with the Defiance Brotherhood. How did that work?
Well, someone sent an ambassador and they had negotiations. Negotiations.
Fair enough.
In a battle that unfortunately led to the death of many adventurers, they managed to defeat the Gnoll.
Yeah, I remember.
This restored a degree of peace to the forest. Over time, these pledged adventurers expanded their reach across the Kingdom of Stormwind, exploring areas like the Red Ridge Mountains, Westfall, and the darkness of the region now known as Duskwood, all after gaining more knowledge within their chosen specializations. Though minor threats persisted in the Elwyn Forest, the tales of riches and adventure within the Kingdom of Stormwind continued to spread across Azeroth, and new adventurers continuously arrived, offering their aid and ensuring that the region's dangers remained at bay. Years later, following the resolution of the Blackrock Mountain threat, the defeat of Onyxia, and Kel'Thuzad's downfall in actual...
Okay, then we can pause here. So this is what happened. In Elwyn Forest, you had like the threat of the Gnolls, there were some Murlocs, and the predominant threat of the Defiance Brotherhood, which basically, honestly, I'm with them on this. They didn't get paid. They should get paid. They rebuilt the kingdom.
I have to, because I was like, Edwin Van Cleave is my second favorite character from World of Warcraft, so his rebellion was right. They rebelled against the nobles they wanted just to be paid.
I hate Alliance more and more.
Then everything was righteous. Their cause was righteous and all the things, but over the time they recruited more and more bandits and became a criminal organization.
Yeah, like basically it started like they're fighting for their freedom, they're fighting for their rights, basically trying to establish a workers' union, but ended up being a mafia organization.
Yeah, because they recruited too much bandits.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened to the IRA. They were just fighting for freedom and then...
bandits.
And then they started selling drugs. But yeah, are we doing anything else, or is this like classic pretty clear? I think
we have covered most of it now.
I think we have covered enough. In the next one, next Friday, we're gonna cover the Burning Crusade. Yeah. It's good. I'll look up some videos and bit by bit we'll cover it. In the meantime, I'm gonna start now like covering the books, doing the deep dive. I'll come up with a little timeline and yeah, bit by bit we will cover everything. Thank you, Raven, for joining me.
Always.
And lending your expertise. That was very informative. Tomorrow we tomorrow what am I doing tomorrow? Tomorrow I think Cyberpunk. I haven't played Cyberpunk. I think I fixed it. I know I said it the last time, but I think I fixed it. Anyways, tomorrow is a Polish live stream, so if you can't speak Polish, it might not be for you. My channel is bilingual like me. But
if you want to hear German, I'm also available.
I joined some of your German streams just to see if I can understand anything, but
it's like for me with the Polish ones. Like
Yeah.
I come into the stream, I don't understand. Sometimes I understand the word, so that's fine.
Okay. All right, well, guys, thank you so much. If you enjoyed yourself, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. Tomorrow, Polish live stream. If you speak Polish, might be for you. If you don't, might not be for you. Sunday, I have no idea what's happening on Sunday. I want to start playing City Skylines again because the asset mods are out, but at this moment, City Skylines do not want... It doesn't turn on at this point. I didn't have that much time to actually, like, sit with it too much, but... yeah, City Skylines doesn't want to be played, even though I actually want to play it. I'm kind of considering, out of desperation for the third fucking time, starting Concordia 3.0. With like completely fresh start, but because that would mean that I will have to get rid of my mod file, which means that probably everything modded that I have placed in Concordia, which is like, let's face it, 80% of the shit that I've built, is going to be replaced by a white box. So yeah, I'm kind of facing a hard choice. I'm gonna try to get it working tomorrow. If I can't get it to work, maybe I'll start a new map again. Anyways, thank you so much, guys.